What's up, guys? Anton here at DPR. A lot of you have seen our posts about a little over a week of the huge flooding that we had at the facility. Some of you may know I have DPR Coldblood in NBK Reptile's facility. My room's there. You're going to see a little bit of how it was. I'm going to show you some videos and pictures of how it looked during that huge flood. And walk you through where we are now and a little bit of like the causes of everything of what happened. So basically, to start off, we had a tornado warning, like a huge storm on Thursday, July 14, and I left work that day, going back home a little before that storm. And as soon as I arrived to my place, we still had an employee here that sent us a picture that was about an inch of water across the whole facility. Still clean water, but we turned around right away and came back to the facility to obviously like take care of everything and make sure that it doesn't go even higher. We arrived about 30 minutes later, and we were super lucky to actually get there at that time. Once we arrived, you'll see the videos, but the water was about a little over a foot deep, and it was absolutely disgusting water, brown water, sewer water. So basically what happened, there's a highway in front of the facility and the whole highway got flooded. I'm going to post the pictures of what it looked like. And so basically there was a lot of water there, and they had to open the sewers closer to evacuate that water as fast as possible. But that huge amount of water that was going already in our sewers, but from theirs to our side, just made everything pop. I'll post the video that when we arrived, there was the sewer water was coming out of the driveway at the back. Once we got in, I'm going to show you a little bit of the facility here. We arrived and there was cocoa basically all over the floor there. And you still see on the doors, basically this is where the water level got up to. So you can see, guys, it's just a little under my knee and a little over where my water boots would have been. And definitely above that first row of racks of rats, and just under that second row, which we were super lucky, an extra inch would have been absolutely disastrous. So when we arrived, basically the electricity was still on, and I was really lucky that I managed to go back home and get my rubber boots because I was able to go in that water and actually close the breaker. Super lucky about that. But then it was completely pitch black down here. We have no windows in the basement. So again, very lucky that I was back home and I managed to get my headlamps. So we ran first thing, the water was rising at about a rate of like an inch every 2-3 minutes. So that was just completely crazy. And when I got in, as I told you before, we had about a foot of water. This is NBK Reptile's room, basically. Sorry for all the noises from the fan. We're still trying to get all the room as dry as possible, obviously. So yeah, the water, we started here and we had basically to open up all of the bins of every single snake and basically put them higher, just so if the water was keep on rising and rising. I'm just gonna close that front real quick. So as I was saying, the water, we didn't know where it would go. So we had to remove the first and the second row. That's the first thing we did. So a little trick, if ever anything like that happened to you, I know my collection very well. I know Brian's collection very well at NBK, but again, it's always difficult with all those double heads, those dinkers, a lot of animals. I told all my my help to move the animals 3 bins higher, and do not cross males with females. That way, we have all females. The males are still all together, so we don't have any crossbreeds or whatnot, and it's super easy to know, like, this animal goes there, this animal goes there. So this was really helpful when it came to time to move all the animals. So all the floor in this room was basically covered with cocoa husk. Obviously, once we opened the bins to remove the first snakes, it was a huge rush to remove all the animals so that no snakes would drown. But all that cocoa husk went floating across the entire room. We had, you see on the floor there, we have a few tubs here and there. We have some buckets and other electronics or whatever we have on, the bottom level. So all of that was floating. So it was a huge mess and very difficult to walk through. We're lucky enough to arrive when we did. As I mentioned, the highway was closed a little after, actually maybe a couple minutes after we managed to get here. But another extra 20 minutes late and would have lost that complete last row of animals entirely, and who knows about the second one. So let's check my room. So as you can imagine, all the cocoa husks we had, all the ones stacked at the bottom, were absolutely soaked, and a few of our pals actually from the soaking moved, and a lot of bales went in the water. We just filled it back up the same week. And right here I was building my new air rest rack that I just received. I was in the process of building it, so all the pieces were on the floor everywhere. So as we're moving through that very dirty water, which we didn't see at the bottom, we had all those metal bars and pieces of the ARS rack floating everywhere. It did rust inside, but we did lose some of them. Some of those rat bedding bags were also completely soaked, and believe it or not, those soaked are like half rhinoceros weight. It's absolutely crazy. And yeah, so basically the water was coming from two different places. It was coming from the bathroom. Now it's like completely mangled. The bathroom is just like a complete mess. But yeah, it was coming from there. It absolutely did a huge hole in the wall, and it was also coming from the other side. Here we had like a big amount of water that was coming from here. It was about a foot over the water level. The water that was coming in, like a lot of pressure coming in from there. So this will have to redo completely. We did also break our water heater. Now it's gone. We have to put another one. But this was just complete mess. And yeah, let's check my room. And now it looks absolutely super clean because we worked a ton. But I'll show you videos of how it looked, and it was just such a mess. Especially those racks, basically all the cocoa husk and the sewer water and everything that was coming in got stuck in those racks. We took so much time just laying down on the floor, cleaning, disinfecting everything, because that water, not only did it include the cocoa husk and everything, but the rat bedding with the poops and everything, but the sewer water, like just a big mess. So one thing I have to say, one of the bigger damage in my room has to be the floor. The water infiltration got some of my flooring to lift up. I'm not the greatest handyman, so I did this myself with a friend. I'm not surprised my floor got destroyed that way. Still pretty annoying. So if ever anyone in the comments have an idea how to fix this, or just press it down or glue it or whatever, let me know. I'll try it out. But other than that, this is the rack that was floating. Super happy that we didn't lose or break any pieces. Now everything is built and on place. So again, at the back here, it was absolutely dirty. It was really disgusting. But we were super lucky that we managed to move all the animals, all the snakes from our racks. Unfortunately, by the time we did the two rooms, we lost a lot of rodents, a lot of rats. This is super unfortunate. By the time we were done with the two snake rooms, the first level of rat were completely flooded, and all of the first level of rats drowned. This is super unfortunate, but we couldn't have done more than that. We did manage to move some of the rats. Emily, as soon as we finished the snakes, went right in the rats, the holdbacks, and the future breeders, and started moving them as the water was pouring through. It was absolutely hectic. We managed to save all the snakes, which is huge relief on my part. So guys, this is the incubator that I use and that NBK Reptile uses for incubating all of the clutches. And obviously the water level did rise in here as well. One thing that I didn't even know that Brian from NBK did in the past, but it actually is super clever, and it's one trick that I'm going to give you. All of the racks were actually screwed or glued to the bottom of to the floor, basically. So when that water rose, we didn't have any racks moving, and all the clutches were standing still, although the water was all the way up to there. We had basically a lot of things floating. Even our freezer was actually floating, and almost the water almost did go inside of it. But if it wasn't the case of those racks being screwed to the floor, there's a possibility that they could have moved, and all the clutches with all the eggs would have fell into the water, and we would have lost our entire breeding season. That would have been absolutely a huge nightmare. So with your incubator, guys, just consider those extra steps of basically fixing it to the floor. And anyways, even though if you have like a Cornell's World or a Michael Banks incubator, if we had that incubator, it would have been the same as our freezer. That thing would have been floated and tilted and even like could have fall in the water. So just maybe try to have like a frame or something to keep it in place if something happens. This is one thing to keep in mind, and this is for sure, that setup is for sure one thing that I'm going to have and note for my future facility. Obviously, there's a lot of things I want to say about this flood, a lot of things. But the very first thing that I'm going to talk about is really the amount of help that we had coming the night of the flood and all the next days after that, and the amount of response that we received from you guys on Instagram and in DMs, text. I would like to say that we had about 150 to 200 people reaching out and like talking to us about they had their thoughts with us, and they would help if they were in the area and whatnot. And a lot of people did come here, offer their help. For example, this rack was built by TC Morph's Brian and his sons. The next day after the flood, they came, they assembled the whole rack because obviously it was undone and it wasn't built and it was laying everywhere. So we got it out, they disinfected it, built it. Huge time saver as we were deep down in the mess cleaning, and we were super lucky to have an amazing team here at NBK Reptiles. Everyone was there to help and just like stayed all night to remove all that water. That was the main thing we wanted to do as soon as possible. There was no way in hell that we would go back home and just ditch that work and just come back tomorrow with a lot of water. Anyone that would do that would be like completely stupid. It's super important to remove all that water right away, because this is where, when the water sits, it's going to do the most damage to the walls, to the racks, to the rat racks, and everything else. Like, you never know if the water could start rising back during that night and lose more animals. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but some people here saw posts and came, and it was just like so heartwarming to see how many people wanted to help. Neighbors bought a water pump to remove the water. We did buy some, but like it was just crazy. And it's in times like these that you see how much support you can have from the people near you and even people you absolutely don't know. When it comes to what you can do if that ever happens to you, obviously having pumps on hand to remove that water is super important. We didn't, but we were lucky enough to have enough people that they were able to go in different stores and buy a lot of pumps very quickly. But that same night, like a couple hours later, there was no pump left anywhere. Everybody was basically trying to buy some because their basement was flooded or whatnot. And we were super lucky about that. But again, this is one thing to have on hand. That's definitely not a bad thing. And just have like a lot of maybe friends' number that you can contact in your area, or good neighbors or whatnot, and just a very good thing to have. We also have in the other room over there, we have a sensor about half an inch above the floor. And every single time there's water that's rising, not a thing that happens often, but if ever the water would be to rise, there's an alarm that's sent on our phones that there's probably a flood or something. So this is another system that you can install to prevent that. But just being quick, being proactive, and not being scared of a lot of work, because this is what it was. It was just so much work. All right, guys, I want to finish this video by again saying a huge and very profound thank you to everyone that reached out, to everyone that helped, and everyone that commented on the posts. I got an overwhelming amount of comments there. Obviously, guys, it was just so hectic here in the facility, cleaning everything. So I took a lot of time to answer all my personal DMs. I did not answer back any comments, but know that I've read every single one of them, and it really helped us, give us more energy and more focus to clean this, and like it was really a good feeling to see that everybody was behind us, pushing for us to come back stronger. And on this, like it's really a impressive thing to come back from this in so little time. Just the amount of work we did all together to get the breeding back on track. We're very proud of what we did, and it's really where you distinguish the kids from the adults. Like, this is just such an intense amount of work, such a big load. And throughout that whole thing, it was just like, let's get it done. Let's do what we have to do in order to save the animals, remove the water, clean the facility, do the dishes, put back the animals, and just like, it's just step by step. You don't get overwhelmed and you just crush it. And even though that happened, it could have been an absolute disaster. We managed to keep our head high and stay positive and focused throughout the whole thing. And it's really what I would suggest to anyone. Like, just don't get yourself beat up by some unfortunate events of life, of breeding, whatever. You can have some slugs, you can have some animal dying, you can have some animals, you ship an animal and it dies in the shipment. You can have a power outage in the winter like we did. But in the end, this could always be worse than what you had. You know, like here, we were lucky, no animal died as far as the snakes, and it could have been much, much, much worse than that. So we count ourselves extremely lucky about that. So yeah, guys, thank you so much again for reaching out. And on this, we took a little break on YouTube, but we will get back stronger with amazing new videos, and we'll be showing you in a proper video that awesome little hypo clown combo that we just made. So this is coming next week. And on this, guys, be sure to follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go check our Morph Market for available animals. On this, we'll see you soon. Cheers.
First time I see Antoine holding his wheel with 2 hands.
That's true. That's true.
Je me dis d'enlever une coupe d'affaires puis traîner avec lui, mais ça, pour aller avec ça, là, fait que j'ai tossé là.
Ça, ben non, mais non, c'est scrap là. Hey man, on a
On a des
beaucoup
pertes,
de...
Fais attention! Ça vient. Oh shit!
C'est le speaker.
Le speaker était dans l'eau? Oui,
Ouais,
je l'ai
ouais.
filmé tantôt.
Shit, la lumière.
Il faudra tout sécher. Hein.
J'ai jamais vu ça aussi au test.
Merci. Ça va tout là. Ça sert à rien, je fais ça pour rien. Non, non.
you can see, guys, it's nightmare visions. All the bins are still flooded. The work that has been done here to clean and make sure that everything is all right is phenomenal. Just gonna pass here. Oh man. Yeah, it's quite mind blowing. Still have a little bit of water everywhere. Lots of cleaner. Here's another room. DPR. It's, yeah, it's pretty hectic, man. Pretty hectic. Those are clean, but so much more, man. Snakes are together. It's absolutely hectic. 3 snakes here. Look at this freaking mess, guys. Absolutely terrible. Every layer, every rack, look at the floor, everything. It's an absolute wreck in DPR and in DK and everything. Look at the floor. Look at this crap. Everywhere. Everywhere like this. The whole facility. And this is water that's mixed with rat poop, rat bedding, cocoa husk, dust, everything. Like, it's absolutely terrible. And the power is out, so we're working on lights and everything. It's look at this. Absolutely terrible. So much damage. So much damage. Look at that. Terrible. Oui? Oui, j'en ai une. Oui, je peux te trouver ça.
Ouais, ça va être